All right, welcome, faculty. We have a Taco Tuesday today. We have Sherry Wolf-Webster with us and Karen Hine from MTSU Online. And we are just recording this 15-minute overview, and then we're going to open up the floor to you guys to ask whatever questions you have. So take it away.
Awesome sauce. So today's Taco Tuesday topic is what's at stake. It's the meat that is our grade books. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can see my dashboard, and we're going to talk about grade books and grade items in my sandbox class. And I've loaded a few things in there, so I have some stuff to start with. If you have some questions, I'm going to pause a couple of times. What I want everybody to understand is when you are in Canvas, your grade book is controlled by the assignments tab. Okay. And so that's really important because in Blackboard and in D2L, you could actually create a column and just type in grades. You cannot do that in our gradebook in Canvas. You can have a column, but you got to create it in the assignment window. And so the definition of an assignment in Canvas is something that is graded. So that means you can have a quiz that is not graded. It will not be in the assignment window. You can have an assignment worth 0 points. Fine, no problem. You can have a discussion that is not graded. Also fine. But anything that has a grade attached will show in your assignment window because that's what controls your grade book. This is a big change from D2L. And so if you have questions about that, I'm going to try to do this part a little slower than I normally talk, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So for example, here, I can have quizzes that are surveys. I can have ungraded quizzes, discussions that are not graded, and you'll see those in the tool. So the discussion tool will house all of your discussions. But the assignment tool will host discussions that are graded, assignments that are graded, quizzes that are graded. Anything else is going to be off to its regular tool. So I hope that makes sense. And so I want you to see, first off, what my grade book looks like. This is just a test course, um, just my test students. You can see the grade book here. It looks just like every other grade book that you have. But I'm going to go back to the assignments tab so you can actually see what is in that grade book. All of these things have numerical grades attached, so they will show in your grade book. Okay, so if you want to add a new assignment, and I'm going to add one right now, and we're going to call this no submission. This is, for example, if you want to put just a column in your grade book, just so you can enter grades that you took in class, this is how you would do it. You can put your instructions in and decide how many points you want it to be for. If there is an assignment group, and that means if your syllabus says that tests are worth 30 points, the exam is worth 10%, blah, blah, blah. If you have those things set in your syllabus, you're going to have assignment groups. And we're going to add one of those in just a minute too. But right now, the groups that I have already are assignments, exams, and discussions. And so this is just an assignment that I'm putting in. And you can see this one, I just want a column in the grade book. So the submission type will be no submission or on paper. I'm going to choose on paper because that's the way I'm going to do this. And I'm going to put a due date in. This paper assignment is due the 8th. Okay, save and publish that assignment. Now, when you go back to your assignment tab, you're going to see that no submission assignment there. When you go back to your grades, you will also see a brand new no submission assignment. Does that make sense to everybody? So you can have assignments that are connected where students submit something inside Canvas and they can post their papers and you can use SpeedGrader. Or you can also just have a column in the gradebook if that's what you want. Okay, so I'm going to run back to my assignments window because the second thing I want to talk about is those of you that are weighting grades. Okay, if you want to have your grades set up so that, assignments are 20%, but exams are 30%, you're going to need to set up groups in this assignment window. If you had your courses migrated, you might see some groups already. And if you are unhappy with the arrangement of those groups, for example, this no submission assignment should be an exam, you can click and drag and move those around wherever you like. I'm going to go ahead and move it up to the top because I just put that in. So you can move those things around. When you want a new group, so I have assignments, exams, and discussions. I'm going to put a new group in and we're going to call it labs. And I'll hit save on that. And you'll see now I have another group. So if you create a new assignment, a new lab, whatever it is, you can choose that group. Or if you already have some things in here, like this no submission assignment that I just did, maybe that is a lab. You can click and drag and drop it into that. Okay? So the reason that that is important, again, it's all about weighting your grades. If you have in your syllabus that labs are 20%, you have to have these groups set up. So I'm going to stop for just 1 minute and just check to see if everybody's at least this far with me. Everything done inside that assignment tab. Are we good?
I have just one question. So if I got an assignment, quiz, is that an online? Is that the type of assignment it would be?
So if you have a quiz that you are creating inside Canvas,
Yes.
um, you'll be able to select that. It won't even be an assignment. You'll create that as a quiz, and once you put the grade in, it's going to go right into the assignment tab for you.
Okay.
So you don't have to. It's nothing extra.
Okay.
I'm just going to check the chat really quickly to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Looks like Karen is on it. Okay, so now we have,
I've got a question.
okay,
If I've got an assignment stuck under a group and I want to get it out and make it its own group, how do I do that?
create the group first, just like I did with the lab, create the group and then move it in there. We can actually, and I'll be happy to, let me share my screen again. So
Okay, I got
you can actually move any of this stuff around. Like this extra credit here, maybe it's goes in exams. I mean, you can click and drag and move it, but you have to have the group created first.
got you.
And some of these things, like perhaps maybe you don't like the name assignments. That's the way it comes over from the migration. But if you'd rather call that homework, you can change the name of those too. You can change the name of your groups by just clicking that edit tab and change the name. We can edit it and call it homework.
Are you going to talk about extra credit?
I am.
Okay, thanks.
Um, okay, and so now I have these groups set up. Now I want to set weighted grades. Now, if you are using points, you don't have to do anything else. You're done. As long as you put the points in, you put the assignment in as points, you put the quiz in as points, then it's going to total those points for you in the gradebook. It's also going to give you a percentage grade for each one of these categories. But that's got nothing to do with your points. Your points are still there and they work. If you don't like to see those percentage grades, then you put everything in one category and it'll just be a big long list of points like a lot of folks prefer. But okay, let's work with most of our faculty using, and I move y'all's face out of the way. Most of our faculty are using weighted grades in some form. So to weight the grades, again, you're in the assignment tab. You're going to come to the three dots, the kebab, all the way at the top. And we're going to choose assignment groups weight. So There's only one thing to do. Check the box and say, what would I like these groups to weight? And you can see it's totaling 70%, which is not correct. So I've got homework at 40. I'm going to move exams up to 30%, discussions to 10%, and now I'm at 80%, so I'm going to make my labs 20%. See how easy this is? You put your percentages in, they add up to 100, that's it. You click save, and now it shows your percentages for each category. So when you go back to the grade book right now, you're going to see all of the random grades and whatever the students are doing, but all the way at the end, you'll see each one of your categories and what percentage they are. Students can see that as well. When they look at their grades, they can see that their homework, which is 40% of their grade, they got an 88 on. And that the exams are 30% and they got a 90 on, or whatever that looks like. So it's super easy to weight those grades from the assignment window. The last thing I want to show you in the assignment window here, this is the last thing, I promise, but this is one of my favorite things because we have lots of people that want to drop the lowest grade or whatever, right? And so let's use exams as an example here. I've got a final exam, extra credit, quiz, and testing. So if you are a person who likes to drop the lowest grade, within each category, they got to be in a category to do this. Within each category, you hit that top kebab there, and we're going to edit that. And you can see that you can drop a number of lowest scores here. I can drop the 2 lowest scores. I can drop the 5 lowest scores. If you're super mean, you can drop the highest score. That's just mean. I don't even know why that's a thing in Canvas, but it is. You can do that. But my favorite part about this is the never drop. So let's say you have like 4 tests and then you have a final exam and you want to drop the lowest test, but you don't want to ever drop the final exam grade. Then you add the assignment that is the never drop. And it gives you the options. Which ones is a never drop? I never want to drop that final exam. And so when you hit save on this, now you can see not only do you have the percentage, but you have rules. And when you mouse over the rules, it tells you what the rule is. Drop the lowest 2 scores, but never drop the final exam. So the Canvas gradebook is one of my favorite things. Setting it up, it's totally different from D2L, and I get that. But once you get into the hang of this, this is actually much easier, if you ask me, than the D2L gradebook. So I'm going to stop for a minute and see what questions do we have at this point. Because then we're going to go into the gradebook and we'll set some categories up for you. We'll set some policies if you want to.
I have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
Denise. Um, Within the category of exams, can you have the final exam weighted differently than the extra credit, I mean, I understand the
No,
overall percentage, but
no, no, no.
if they're in a category, they're equal. Is that
That is
right?
correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So if you want the final exam to be more than the other exams in your class, you want to
Mhm.
set a different category and weight that category separately.
Got it. Okay.
And that is a change. That's a great question. That is a change from D2L as well. In D2L, you could assign something to be 10% and then something else to be 20% in the same category. But your categories in Canvas are all one weight divided equally between the things in there, unless you choose the rules to never drop or to drop something. Joan, is it Joan Rains has a question? Is that a hand that I see?
Yes, yes. Will we still be able to sync our Pearson gradebook with Canvas?
Pearson does sync with Canvas as long as you're there's a couple of different LTIs, the way the integrations work. If you're using one of the old ones, and there are a couple of Pearson textbooks that use the old one, it's an LTI 1.1 and those do not sync. But if you're using one of the newer ones, that means if it was syncing in D2L, it's probably going to sync in Canvas too. It's a LTI 1.3 and the grades should push right into the Canvas gradebook.
Okay, thank you.
And you would have to, if you wanted to have your Pearson, like the grades that come out of Pearson, you can put them in a separate category so that you can weight them differently if you like.
Okay, thank you.
I see Lee has
Yes.
a hand. Yes,
Uh,
sir.
Is it possible to subtotal grades across categories?
What do you mean subtotal?
For example, in my course, I have 6 homeworks and 6 quizzes plus a final exam, and we need to report midterm grades. So I'd like to be able to total up the points from the first 3 quizzes and the first 3 exams and divide that by 36 and
Okay,
assign a letter grade to that.
so you wouldn't need to do that because as long as you keep your gradebook current inside Canvas, the final grade that's showing when the midterm comes, that is the midterm grade.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's also going to evolve over time. I need a record.
Isn't the record in Banner? I mean, when you enter the grade, isn't that the
I
record?
need a numerical record. The banner has a letter grade.
Okay. Well, then the easiest thing to do would be to download your gradebook at that time.
Oh, great, thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen
Not
again.
ready for prime time.
I'm going to share my screen again so that you can see this gradebook. And you can see here, because, this is my student account, my little fake student account here. Student Sherry Webster is killing it. I have 116% because I did really well in some exams. 107% is my total. If you want that to only be points showing, then you would need to choose points, grades, and just not worry about these percentages here in these categories. You wouldn't have any percentages there. And it's going to show you two things. It'll show you the total points, but also a total percentage based on the points that are there. But this is what I want to point out. You can see here my student, Sherry Webster, these things that are red, these are past due. I got a really good grade here because my teacher has not given me a 0 on this assignment yet. So there are things that you can do. You can see here that Lauren Neal has an excuse for this assignment. So I can go in, and if you type in EX in the gradebook, it excuses that assignment and it does not calculate as part of the grade. The other thing, this is, by the way, this is how you would manually grade that no submission assignment. Let's say we had an 80. This works just like a spreadsheet. You could just roll right down. I'm going to give Jimmy a 50. I don't like him. I'm kidding y'all. But yeah, you can just manually go in and type these grades. Or if you have something to grade, you can see that there are Dropbox grades here. And I want to go ahead and go to SpeedGrader, and I can grade it in SpeedGrader. And I have a rubric that's attached here. But let's see, I'm going to be quick because this is not about SpeedGrader. It's more about the gradebook. And I got that completed and I'm submitting. And then I'm going to go back into my box here. But that's manual. So I can go in and I can say, oh, Albert, you didn't do this. I'm going to give you a 0 and just type it in. But that's the manual way to do this. You can actually also set policies in your gradebook to do this for you, which I really like. And those are at the gear icon in the upper right corner. And these are your gradebook settings. So one of the things that I hated in D2L, in the gradebook in D2L, is that if you set it to apply a 0 if the student hasn't turned it in, it blanketed the whole gradebook with zeros. Even if the assignment wasn't due yet, there were still zeros. So it looked like everybody was failing for the whole term. Canvas doesn't do that. If you choose to apply a 0 for missing submissions, it won't put the 0 in until the due date passes. So this would automatically, as soon as this student did not turn it in by 6 p.m. yesterday, it would drop a 0 in that grade. And if you allow late submissions, and the student submits it a day late, you still have the opportunity to grade it. You still, if it's a quiz, it's still, the grade still comes through. It just comes through as late. And so this one, I'm putting a 0 for missing submissions. I'm also going to say I want to automatically deduct points for lateness. So I'm going to take 10 points per day for lateness, but I'll give them at least a 50. That's, whatever policy you like. Now, there are other policies here. The grade posting policy allows you to, and it's default, it's automatically going to post them when you put a grade in, but you can choose to manually post the grades. So, for example, if you had a research paper that was like a bear to grade and it was going to take you, a couple of weeks to get through all the students, one of the things that can be frustrating for teachers is when you grade that first student's paper, they talk to everybody else and everybody else starts going, well, where's my grade? Well, mine's not done yet. So you can hold off and you can choose to manually post once you're done grading everything. That's up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and set my late policies and you can see where the zeros will appear. See this? Automatically, these things that are past due, the zeros are there. Anything that is not graded, that's on me, no 0 is there. And anything that's not due yet, no 0 is there. And I had 107, but I'm still doing pretty good because I only had the 1 0. So my student account, but you can see Lauren's failing now. Okay. Questions about columns in the gradebook or gradebook policies? Anything like that right now?